Hey guys, Adam Ray here for the About Last Night podcast. Thanks for coming back to the show. We missed you. Good to see you. All my ALN fans, what are we calling you? The Rabies? The Adam Rabies? Nope, not that. We'll figure it out. Appreciate you guys being here supporting the show. If you want to keep supporting it, of course, subscribe. Click that subscribe button in the bottom right corner, and then immediately click the bell so you can get notifications when new content drops, highlights, animations, all that good stuff. Comment on the videos, share them with your friends and families and strangers, and just enjoy all the goodies that are coming your way. All right? Great episode today. Let's get into it. Joish!
Hey, it's Herbert, and you're listening to the About Last Night podcast, you slippery little son of a bitch.
About last night.
Nice Britney shirt, dude. I was just on a show that was paying tribute to the Queen of Pop.
Did you name all of your favorite songs in order?
No, but I said I was K-Fed's manager.
At this point, anybody could be, I guess, right? It might as well be you. Take the job.
That guy. Let's talk about a guy that hit the fucking jackpot. I think he was getting 20 grand a month there for a little bit.
Getting more than that now from the conservatorship. I think he makes about $250,000 from child support payments a year.
Dear God. Well, we fucked up.
A couple loads up in Britney Spears. That's crazy. That's all he's contributed to the whole.
Your shirt game's always been on point, though. I'll be honest. From the get-go, when I think I first met you in 2007, which is when I started comedy. I think you started comedy around then too, right? Maybe you'd been doing it
2005.
Yeah. Yeah, you were 2 years in, but felt like you were 20 years in. Also, we were in home court advantage. We were in Utah for this Rocky Mountain Festival. And I mean, I think it was, I don't know what the comic scene was like there, but whatever it was, you flipped it on its ass. And it was like, yeah, dude, they're thinking about nicknaming this place Marcusville. And I was like, who said that? And they're like, Marcus.
I was going to name.
Yeah.
Filed a report. I called the county commissioner. I didn't even know how to go about it, but I was like, why not?
Yeah.
David that kid got a whole day. He was on American Idol, sang some karaoke songs, gets a whole day, gets a key to the city. I was like, why can't
Who's this?
Remember, like there was the kid on American Idol. His name was David Archuleta. He was.
Oh yeah, is he a Utah native?
Yeah, and so it was funny because he was on American Idol the same year I was on Last Comic, and like he came in second, and so did I, and he got a parade and a key to the city, and like this whole thing. I got a weekend at Wise Guys.
Hey, but in your defense, you know. Well, yeah, no, that sucks. But also, Archuleta got a weekend at Wise Guys too. That's what really poured salt on
it.
It
was weird.
Yeah, Keith was like, "I bet he's funny. Look at that face."
It was.
What? It's great to see you. You look great. You're always aging down. What got you? Nice staircase too. Look at that, dude. Humble brag.
Goes up to my veranda where I'll stand up there sometimes and wave a handkerchief at a passing soldier. Hello, welcome home from battle, good sir. No, I don't know.
You definitely said that like Johnny Depp.
Did I? You know what? It's not so British enough to be Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp's basically, because if you go full Captain Jack, right?
Yeah.
That's how things happen. That's the thing is Johnny Depp is just the slight version of that. You just take basic like American that's almost like I've spent some time in London, so I kind of say things like this now. But then you make it like drunk, so it's a little movement, right? And then you start doing it, and then you just the hands are very easy to think of because what you do is you imagine that everything's got like COVID on it. So you don't want to touch it. That's disgusting. I don't want that. Look at that. Gross. I don't want it. Where's the rum? Right. So that's just a combination of things. So, you're right.
Johnny, did you get Pfizer or Moderna?
Actually, they tried to stick a needle in me, and it just ran the other way. I'm going to wait till the vaccine is in cocaine form.
Dude, I love the fact that there are a handful of American actors that did what Depp did, which is, by the way, did what Depp did is, I don't know if that's the name of a band or a sex move you pay a dwarf to do to you in Vegas. I don't know what Depp did. It's a hashtag, whatever. But what Depp and Madonna did, where they went over there, like you said, spent some time, had a couple bangers and mash, some fish and chips, and just came back to the States with an affected tone of voice. Like, that's a choice, right?
Oh, I always thought about, because I think Gwyneth Paltrow kind of does that too, because she married Coldplay, right? Yeah. And then she had the accent, and so she was like, oh, look at this wonderful, and you're like, you blame him, you go, Madonna. But you know what? If I was married to Guy Ritchie for 10 years, I would be like, well, look at this here, what we're going to do, right? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to feed a man to a pig. Because if you ever feed a man to a pig, they go through bones like butter. I'd be the same thing. I don't understand how you can't be.
Yeah.
Like, you do voices and characters, right? Sure. I mean, you go hang out in New York to do your movie, I'm sure, for like 2 weeks, you're doing a thing. You got the accent.
You're right.
Stuff, you go, right? You do that, absolutely, yeah. Right? And then that sticks with you. I do that. I'll watch a show. I'll be Italian for like 3 days. You know what I mean? So I think, like, if I lived in London for even a month, I would be an intolerable gentleman. I'd come back. People would say, "What is he doing?" I'll tell you, listen. I took my vitamins. I wrap my leftovers in aluminium foil. That's what I do. I basically just
aluminium foil, dude. How did?
Because you'd have to pronounce it better. But then it would suck, because like if you had gone like to a different part, like everybody wants to go over to England and come back with the sexy accent, right? The one where you, hello, how are you? Right? It's almost like Chris Hemsworth. How are you? Wonderful. He's that new Cary Grant where it's not too Australian, right? It's just enough. But everybody wants that sexy. But it's like if you went and spent a bunch of time in the north, you come back like, hello everyone, what are you doing? All right, you sound like one of the Spice Girls. Hello, right? You go there. Geordie, stop sounding like one of them, right? It really does. I feel like I would do that. I'd come out and, oh, hello, right? I just come out, blimey hell.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
I'd be the worst person. Nobody wants that. So
when did you start? Take me back, dude. When did you start? Because here's the thing, man. Your impressions are top notch. Like, you're in the best of the best, and you know this, and everybody knows this. But you also, I think you have and you and Guy Seidel, right? That's his last name. Uh-huh. You guys have an amazing 2-man show that you tour around the world, and which people can go, follow you on the Instagram or where would they get tickets to the show, wherever it's popping up?
Well, the funny thing is, honestly, the Marcus and Guy show, and you just go to marcusandguy.com.
Okay, great.
But we wrote the way that it worked. I'll tell a little story.
Great.
So after Last Comic Standing, when I was on that show, I got beat up because back on the message boards, they hated me because I did voices. And what was crazy was that I didn't try to do voices. When I first went on the show to audition, I tried to audition with stand-up, and they were like, it says here you do impressions. And I was like, I do, here. When they said, what do you do? So I just rattled off a bunch of stuff, like did Family Guy and did this stuff. And they went, that's great, do that tonight and come back. So I was like, okay. So I did that, and they put me on the show. So the second set I did, I did no impression. I just did straight stand-up. And it was my best set. It was the set I did. I did my Britney joke and the Oompa Loompas thing, and I had a really great set. And then when I get done, the guy goes, hey, it says here you do impressions. I didn't hear you do any. Do something. And so I just did walk in real quick because it's a super easy impression that everybody can recognize.
What'd you do?
And
what's the setup for it?
Christopher Walken, hey, listen here. You asked me to do any more voices. I come to your house, stab you in the face with a soldering iron. So I was doing that. And they went, so I get pushed through the house. And that night I was super stoked. I was walking back through the hotel and I was heading back to my room. And one of the producers drove by in a golf cart and they went, hey, good job tonight. And I went, thank you. And they go, that was awesome. But next time, do your fucking voices. And I said, oh, okay. All right. And so from that point on, everything that I did, they pushed me to do impressions. So I would do an interview and they'd go, that's funny. What would Adam Sandler say? And I'd go, well, he would go, and they'd go, that's hilarious. What would this guy say? And then when the show came out, that's all they used. So it just looked like all I did was the same 4 or 5 impressions.
Whoa.
And I was young. I had only been in comedy 3 years at that point, and it was back in like MySpace days, and people just hated me. They were like, this guy's not a comedian. He's a ventriloquist. He's just saying lines from movies. And like when we got done with the show, even though I had done really well, I kind of thought, okay, well, if I'm going to be in this business and I'm going to, get to work weekends with my heroes, because at the time, and it's still an A club, but back then, Wise Guys, which was the local Utah club, that club, it was like Bill Burr, Jim Norton, David Tell, you had monsters coming through. And I got to work with these guys. So I was like, well, I'm going to show everybody that I can do stand-up.
Yep.
So I literally didn't do an impression for 4 or 5 years in my act. I stopped doing voices. I was like, look, I'll show you guys how good I can be.
Yep.
And then one day I was hanging out at Wise Guys, and I'll never forget it. And the only reason I say his name is because I really appreciate what he said. But I was hanging out, and Jay Moore was in town, and I believe it was Jay Moore and Ryan Sickler, I believe, was opening for him in the room, and Jay was doing his voices, and I kind of chimed in with a couple, and he goes, dude, that's really fucking good. Why didn't you do any of that? And I said, well, I've kind of been getting away from it, and I kind of want to find an organic way. And he just looked at me, he goes, dude, shut the fuck up. That's funny. Go be funny on stage. That's your job. And I was like, oh, you're right. That's stupid, right? And so I was like, it kind of was this check for me of like, dude, you have a thing. Why are you sitting on it? Because people told you, like, you have to prove. So that's kind of how the music show that Guy and I started, because when I came back to it, I thought, I want to do impressions. I want to bring them back to the stage, but I want to do them in a way that nobody else is doing them. And I don't want to just go up there again and be like, what if Al Pacino worked at an ice cream parlor, right? You don't want to just do the same shit. So
even that, though, you piqued my interest. I was like, would it be Baskin Robbins? Would it be Cold Stone? Would he get turned away?
What kind of ice cream do you want? Is praline and cream, right? He doesn't even look at you when he talks. I don't understand it. I enjoy a good praline. I don't even know what the fuck it is. But
wait, so that takes a lot of, dude, that's a bold move to just, first of all, you are a comedian, and you're the impressions, the voices, and what I wanted to say was like, you have a very, I guess it's almost like a musical ear to be able to, even the way you just went into like all these other accents of like East Coast and overseas, like, that's what really stood out to me when I first met you, was like, oh, you can hear something and pick it up very quickly, and not just do a quick little thing, but like become a full, like when you start doing an East Coast accent, you're doing it off of something that and that you've been a fan of or soaked up so much of that you can immediately create and act as a New York person through and through. And that's what I think is a true sign of someone that is, a chameleon, and that can really have a lot of weapons, which you're now using in the show. Because just to do a quick little voice is cool, but man, you can live in these people for months at a time. And that's crazy to sustain it, right? How did anyone tell you not to shut down the voices when you made that choice? Or were you just like, fuck it, I need to prove to myself that I get back my mojo, that I'm like funny without that?
The funny thing is like, I've kind of always done things a little different. I've always lived in Salt Lake. I never made the move to LA or any of that. And to be honest, it was weird. I don't actually know what happened, but like after Last Comic, like nobody approached me. I never had a manager, an agent. I never have. Still to this day, I've been in the business 16 years. I've never had an agent or a manager. Wow. I've literally done everything, every booking I've ever gotten. Aside from, I had a college agent right after Last Comic. She was really great, and I did a bunch of college stuff for a couple of years. But I've never actually had that. So nobody was really pushing me to do much. And
Marcus, I need to stop you real quick and plug in a charger because I'm gonna die. I didn't realize my battery was low.
Yeah, let's charge it.
TBD.
Charge it.
I like, by the way, that you still smoke bongs, Marcus. That's one of my favorite
Well, I
things.
keep my bong here. I also have my weed, and I also have my little cartridge, my little, charger, and
yeah.
I've got that, and I ate some edibles this morning too. So it's been great.
I think last time I was at your place, in your just amazing memorabilia filled dungeon, we got so high, the type of high that when you leave, you're like, I hope I remember tonight because it was so fun. We laughed a lot. But I definitely, and then I think I got lost in your complex. It was definitely very labyrinth-esque.
Labyrinthine, yeah. We like to make it difficult. No, that was a fun night. That was a good time, and we got stoned beyond. So that was a good time, which is the only way to get stoned, I think, right? Like you can get, that's fun. Like I'm tipsy, I'm enough. But like stoned, I'm like, let's just keep going.
I know, man. That's my problem, dude, is I can't, you say you took a few edibles. Have you found a nice balance now where you can kind of do a few and know how you can, be in the world and know that all right, if I'm going to do this, I need to stay put for a while?
No, I have not, to be 100%. I have, I smoke. I like to smoke, and I've tried to find my end. In fact, on 420 of this year, I pushed myself. I ate the most edibles I've ever eaten. I did 500 milligrams, and
what?
So I typically started around 50. This morning I ate 125 to start the day. I like a higher dose. I have edibles, and it's typically the bag is 500 milligrams, and there's 8 gummies, so each gummy is 62 milligrams or something.
Right.
So they're really nice. And on 420, I ate a whole bag. And I kept waiting to is this gonna, put me on the couch? And I got really stoned, but I felt good, and I went to the gym, and it was fun. And then we just kind of hung out, and yeah. So I think the next stop, when I was in California last, because most dispensaries, their edibles top out at 100 milligrams. Yeah. If you go to Nevada or Colorado or Washington, Oregon, but California, they don't care. The last time I was in California, I found 1,000 milligram cookie. It was a single cookie that was 1,000 milligrams. And so the next time I'm there, I think that's what I'm going to try.
Whoa. I would like to be around for that.
Yeah, I'll I'll let you know. I think that would be a fun time.
Okay, so you and I want to go all the way back, but continue what you were saying. So Jay Moore said that very important thing to you.
Yeah, he said to me, and then I never really had a manager and agent, so nobody was really on me to change things. But when he said that to me, it really made sense. So I wanted to come back and do things in a very organic way, like I was saying. That's right. And so I kind of thought, well, what if I do this as kind of a music thing? Because I can use spoken impressions as connective tissue, and I can do musical impressions because I can sing like people. And so I started writing a show, and at first I didn't know how to put it together. So I used karaoke backing tracks that I had a DJ weave together, and it was really good work that he had done. And I tried it once, and I think the people there had fun. I think back on it and shudder because there was such a disconnect. It was literally, the music was going, I couldn't stop. It was I was on its pace, and it was just really bad. And so I was like, well, how am I going to do this? And so Guy, who's my friend and a fellow comic, and I've known him for years, he's been a guitar player for 25 years. And he was like, well, I can try to learn these. So he just started learning the show as I had written it. And then we kind of started doing music at the end of my shows. And then about 3 years in, that's all we could do was the music because that's what people wanted to see. And now we've been doing the show about 8 years. And we realized when we started doing it, since it's a music show that's just musical comedy and impressions, we can do our show 2 hours on stage, squeaky clean, Disney G-rated if we have to. We've done shows at elementary schools. We've done shows. All we do, we don't focus on public shows. And this is why the story had to be told, because 99% of what we do are corporate and private events, because we can do our show clean, without cursing. We can host. We've hosted all day events, G-Ray, and I never knew that I was going to work myself into becoming a clean comic. But when we accidentally did that and found out that it was a lot better and more fun to just kind of be like like we've done a lot of really cool events, and we've gone to a lot of really cool places and performed for like really neat groups. And, it's kind of nice because we can give them something they don't have to worry about. And
right.
We're a tax write-off, so they don't worry about it either. Right. So it's a nice place. So we haven't really we don't focus on doing public shows other than our home club here once every 4 or 5 months. And that's about it. Everything else is private gigs. Yeah.
Cause you weren't a super, when I met you, filthy comic, but I mean, like, you did have that famous, which I hope you still do in some form, to go back to Labyrinth, David Bowie bit, and how Bowie, in Labyrinth was wearing this skin tight jumpsuit, and you would take the mic and droop it down below your waist and swing it around like it was a cock and fling it around. And I mean, it would just crush. And it was a combo of like, I just start crying, a combo of like nostalgia, everyone knowing exactly what you're talking about, being able to see it. Also, one of those things where I'm like, man, I've never heard somebody talk about this, even though when you're doing it, I'm like, it's so familiar that you're like, have I heard a bit about this? Because you're like, I'm seeing exactly what he's talking about. And you go, no, Labyrinth was just that iconic, and Bowie is in that movie. And I do remember, even as a kid, being like, dude, his wiener was just fully on display. And this is a Jim Henson, RIP, my fucking, hero, classic. And so, and then you had the physicality of prancing around. You had the voice. Like, it was that put me on the floor. So what was the point of that? What did I say when I brought that up?
Dirty comic.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So that was about the extent of the filth as far as I was concerned. So did it feel like a big challenge to have to, like, I just did a corporate gig that I got fired from after my first opening monologue, and because I said dolphin cum. Now, in my defense, in my defense, they said no F-bombs, and I said freaking more than I've ever said in my entire life, but they said easy on the sexual stuff. It was full of Mormons who, by the way, all after the show were praising me how great I was. And I wish I went up longer. I was like, sorry, it was one guy who put the kibosh on it. And in my defense, again, he said, we want Ricky Gervais at the Golden Globes. And then afterwards, when the guy who booked me for it was on the phone with them being like, you still got to pay him, blah, blah, blah. He goes, we meant Ricky Gervais like the format. I go, what? That's like being like, we want Tom Hanks' Forrest Gump. And then, you do a Forrest Gump, essence, impression, voice, whatever. And like, no, we meant like the guy, like the suit, like the style, like the swagger. And you're like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? So that to me was a big eye opening, like, man, maybe I can't be full corporate clean. But again, dolphin cum, I rolled the dice. I was crushing. I definitely just tried to milk the moment. Did you have a big challenge, putting this back to you, in adjusting to that? Or like, were you always cognizant of like, all right, your inclination is to say this for the joke, but don't, now it's this version? Or did it kind of happen pretty naturally?
Honestly, I had done radio for years,
Yep.
before comedy, kind of operating within the parameters of that. And I think too, like, there was also, when I was coming up at Wise Guys, there was like this myth that you couldn't be dirty because it had to be a clean club. And that wasn't the case. But what it was there's this tendency, and, and I've kind of broken this down over the years. There's this tendency for comics when we begin, since we don't have a lot of time on stage, to try to get a reaction rather than when we spend a lot of time on stage going for a connection. And that's ultimately what real comedy is. The reason why I can think about Eddie Murphy, Delirious, but when I saw it when I was 11 and fucking shouldn't have, and I can still laugh about, just without even thinking about it, is because I'm still connected to that laugh, because laughter is an emotional feeling. So our job as comics is to make people have an emotional reaction on command, which is fucking amazing. Like, that's an incredible power that we have. And so, you know, it's like, when I started doing this, Keith would always push me to like try to be cleaner, try not to be so dirty. And I would notice the difference. I would notice guys who would go up and they would just say, you know, that's why if you go to an open mic, right? You got 30 dudes that are like, I was jerking off and I was fisting it, and you're like, all right, look, it's because, again, we run into this thing as comics, right? I call it the open mic conundrum, where when we go to a place and we want to try something out, we only have a short period of time. It's not our set where we can try new things for an hour and we can toss stuff in. We need to go and focus. We have 5-10 minutes, whatever it is, right? We have two choices. We can go there to prove ourselves or improve ourselves. I can either do the new 10 minutes that might not be funny and hope that, you know, it works because that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do, is get better. Or I can go up there and go, well, if my new stuff doesn't work, I better tell one of my old jokes because then everybody's not going to think I'm funny, right? So what am I getting up on stage with? My motivation or my ego, right? So I always want myself to become something bigger than the reaction, because I noticed that too with impressions, right? You do an impression, it's like a magic trick. Ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Walken, and you do it and they go, oh, right? So that's the reaction. How do I get them to connect to it? How do I get them to not just go, that's Christopher Walken? How do I get them to laugh every time they hear Christopher Walken because they think about me? That's the difference, right? It's not just what we say on stage, it's what we leave them with. So comedy overall should be resonance. It shouldn't be the thing that we have in the moment. It should be the thing that lasts forever. I'm not just hoping that you have a good time at my show. Not out of ego, but I'm hoping that because I did my job to the best that I can, every show that you see from that point on, that's the high point. So if you have a better time sometimes, then I need to step my game up because I want to set a bar so high that you compare every other laugh and every other situation you ever have to what you experience with us, only because that's what we do, right? And so once you kind of figure that out, then you realize that as a performer, we have access to, I mean, your brain probably has hours and hours of material. You could create it. You're quick on the fly too, coming up with stuff, doing crowd work. It's nothing. But we realize that it's not about taking our energy and our persona to those people and confronting them with it. It's about allowing those people to dictate what kind of performer we need to be. Oh, I need to listen to them. I need to pay attention. They're this kind of crowd. They're that kind of crowd. I get it. Maybe, okay, we'll skip that thing, push that later, move this around, because it doesn't really matter to me. I can do my show however I need to. I'll get you. I got this. I'll figure it out. But if that's where like the ego comes in, you know, where we go out, fuck that crowd, man. They didn't laugh. Well, was it you or was it them? Was it because you didn't listen to them? It's like you just go cannonball into a pool. Everybody else is just chilling, right? I like to get in the pool with the audience first. Listen to them, feel them. And when you go to corporate events, right, you just stand. It's not important. I don't have to sit in the green room. I stand in the back. Oh, they're like this. That's the table. Okay, that's the all right. They're like, okay, they're kind of laughing. Right. He told these jokes. That right, and that's once you kind of do that, you realize that you don't need any of those other crutches, right? I don't need to curse. I don't need to talk about anything. I mean, I can do 20 minutes on that guy's tie if I need to. And it has nothing to do with sex or politics or anything that can divide a room. It's just about being present with the people that you're with. And if you're just going in service of the laugh, then it's never about, look how clever I am. It's just, what can I do to make you guys have literally the best time you've ever had?
Right. Wow, dude. That's an approach and a mindset that is super healthy, and I think only happens from being committed to it so much like you have been, to where you can and take risks, right? Hey guys, Adam Ray here for the About Last Night podcast. Hope you're enjoying this episode. Obviously, it's a very difficult time for everyone right now. We're all challenged in finding a day-to-day routine that makes our lives consistent and awesome. And if there's something that's interfering with your happiness right now or preventing you from achieving your goals, BetterHelp Online Counseling is there for you. BetterHelp is a professional counseling service, online, private, and it's so convenient. I've used it for a little bit now. It's truly the only way that I've found to help get my own issues dealt with on my own time at my own pace. You can schedule secure video or phone sessions, plus chat and text with your licensed professional counselor right now. They're specialized in depression, anger, stress, anxiety, family conflicts, LGBT matters, grief or relationships, sleeping, which I have a lot of trouble with, trauma, self-esteem. Anything that you share with them is confidential. And guess what? If you're not happy with your counselor for any reason, at any time, you can request a new one for no additional charge. There's 3,000 U.S. licensed therapists across all 50 states, available worldwide. And again, there's 4 ways to communicate with them: text, chat, phone, and video. You can start communicating in under 24 hours. It's available on any desktop, mobile web, Android, and iOS apps. Schedule a video or phone session, generally weekly, unless your therapist schedules more, unless you just are really not sleeping and need to get some additional chats in. There's broad expertise in the network, which may not be locally available in many areas. Financial aid is available for those who qualify. It's secure, it's convenient, it's professional, and above all, it's affordable. All right, it's truly the most affordable option I've found. So right now, all ALN listeners are going to get 10% off your first month with a discount code AboutLastNight. So why not get started today and start making some changes for the better in your life? You deserve it. So go to BetterHelp.com/AboutLastNight. Simply fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor that you'll love. That's BetterHelp.com/AboutLastNight. BetterHelp.com/AboutLastNight, and get 10% off your first month with promo code AboutLastNight. And now back to the episode. Do you feel like you've always been fearless? At least since I've known you, I feel like you were always, and this is a easier said than done trait to embody, is to be on stage. And like you said, and I love that, prove or improve yourself. But have you always been on stage? And even take me back like to young Marcus as a kid, like in life, have you always been like, I'm just going to go for it? Because being on stage, and like you said, like, you know, just committing to anything, whether it's a new bit or an impression that you don't feel as strong about, but you know it's a fun thing to do, like going all for it is the only way to ever see if, especially on stage, you know, what type of response you're going to get. And if you cut it off or shortchange yourself or don't go fully into it, then how can you even get any sort of a gauge on if it's something that you should add or can explore? But as a kid, were you that way, like on the playground? Like, were you, always like trying to make people laugh? Did comedy come later in life? Did you have a funny family? That's like 20 questions in one, but take me back. When you came out of the womb, did you make a joke to the doctor?
I had a cigar and everything. I was doing Groucho. No, to be honest, as far back, I sound like Ray Liotta, as far back as I can remember, I was always like, I did voices, I would watch cartoons, and I from a very early age, I could, hi-ho, Kermit the Frog, and do all the, yay, all my favorite Muppets, and Bullwinkle the Moose, anything Uncle Joey could do, I was trying to do, right?
Wow.
And I also grew up listening to the Dr. Demento show, which was unbelievably eye-opening and mind-blowing to me, because not only did I hear amazing songs, but it was the first time, because I didn't stay up and watch Carson when I was 8. Right? Like but I could listen to my radio and hear Stephen Wright, and I could hear these great comic sets and hear these, jokes and things that I didn't have access to. Also, my dad had Bill Cosby records from back in his day, which at the time were innocuous and fine, and you could mention it, and he went, "Oh, great, what a hero." So yeah. I listened to that, and despite what happened, ultimately, I always had comedy that I had access to, and I loved Weird Al. I had his stuff on vinyl, and I believe when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade, there was a talent show, and I put on one of those nose and glasses, and a chef hat, and I dressed up like a chef, and I lip synced lasagna, which was his La Bamba.
Yes.
Lasagna, and I lip synced it in front of all the kids in the elementary school, and I didn't give a shit. And I always tried to put myself out there. I feel like I never personally had that fear, and I understand it. It's like one of the things that I've done because of the corporate work that I do is I would see so many people that I'd go to these events, you know this, you go to a corporate event and the CEO gets up, has no idea how to hold a mic. He talks, rambles on for 10 minutes. Right. I'm sorry, where was I?
Yeah.
Right? He tries to do a joke, it doesn't land. You see all these people who have access to mics and crowds and time and they have no idea what to do with it. So I started doing corporate coaching and consulting where I would teach people how to use the mindset of a comic. Oh, this man, it's actually really kind of changed. But now it's kind of like teaching people how to use the mindset of a comic to be able to more efficiently access their own creative impulses, put more things out into the world, take more chances, right? That's one of the things that comics do. If I do a joke and it doesn't work, I don't just throw it away. I figure it out. I go, okay, well, I'll try it a different way. Maybe I'll say this part first. I'll move it around. Maybe I need to say it shorter. Maybe I need to say it longer.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll put it back here. We know that. We understand those things. Most people, they make a mistake. That didn't work. I'm terrible. Oh, I tried. I'm terrible.
That's that's an innate human move to question yourself, doubt yourself. Just have almost when you're trying something. I don't know what percentage of people are probably going into it being like trying something new, like this probably isn't going to work out. And then when it doesn't right away going, yeah, see, I told myself I knew that. So it's good that I know that though, instead of like, all right, well, maybe try to take a step back for a second and adjust.
We as comics, right? You know this, and every comic that hears this, they know that there is a place that you operate from on stage that is not. It's not your gut. It's not your mind. It's not your heart. It's this, I always call it my center. It's like this place where I am so comfortable and I am so in charge that I don't allow, like, I don't even have to, it's a stream of consciousness. I don't even have to think about it, right? You're just so at home in that. And there's a freedom to that. There's a freedom to just creating. And I just know that I'm going to say something. I know I'm going to be funny, right? And I know I have this confidence in my skill set that is so sharpened in that moment that I don't ever have to like doubt what I'm doing. Even if the crowd's not with me, I just make adjustments and get them. I know I can because that's what we do. We're pros. Most people, they don't have that that ability to kind of find that area of what they do because they listen not to themselves but to everything else. Hey, I drew this picture. Go fuck yourself. Your picture sucks. Right? Like, oh, okay, sorry, thanks, internet. I tried, right? Like the first night I was on Last Comic Standing, I was a guy who was living in this kind of, it wasn't government housing, but it was a place where the rent was controlled because I didn't make any money. I was broke. I was unbelievably, I had this amazing opportunity to be on TV and I went and like, I was on Last Comic. I had this great thing. And then I went to the message board. And like the first comment was like, this guy is great. And the second comment was like, I really like Marcus. I can't wait to see more. And the third guy was like, I hope he kills himself before the second show because I don't want to hear any more of a shitty joke. And the fourth guy was like, yeah, fuck this guy. And so very early, I got to realize this kind of wrath of the hidden people behind the boards. And even it was funny because back then there wasn't Facebook and Instagram and all Twitter. No. I mean, there was, but it wasn't what it is. It was like Shecky.com, right? And they'd be like, these fucking assholes on the show, like they would lump us in. Like I remember there was this article that compared me, that called me, Jeff Dye, and Adam Hunter, 3 entirely different comics who don't look alike, sound alike, or anything. They go, these 3 Dane Cook hacks. And I went, which one? Which one of us is stealing his shit? We're 3 different dudes.
Right. Also, if we were stealing his shit and being him, wouldn't we also be selling out Madison Square Garden? Like we're our own people.
Yeah, doing okay. But what's fascinating is that very early on, I learned to tune that out. I mean, I like I said, I did listen and I got in the wrong direction. I said, I'll prove myself. And I was like, I'll rise up. I did it in the wrong way. But I realized that if somebody's at one of my shows and goes, that guy's not funny, he's wrong. He's wrong. I am funny. I'm not funny in an egotistical way where like, fuck you, man, I'm the funniest guy alive. No, you're wrong because I have done this for 15 years, 16 years. I make crowds laugh. That's what I do. I'm inherently funny. I'm good at this. So if you say I'm not, that doesn't mean I am. And for most people, that takes a long time to get to. But I think we should all start there, right? Like, you want to draw? Great, draw. Fucking who cares? Guess what? The guy who says your drawing sucks can't draw. You want to sing a song and put it on the internet? Do it. Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter, because we spend so much time really caring about what other people think. But at the ultimate thing for us is that we can't think that way, because even if we're like, you know, on stage, we're never handsome. We're never cool. We're never, you know, the sexiest guy in the room. We're fools. We're guys who have double chins, and we stand weird, and we make our bodies do stupid shit because we don't care. We're in service of what we do. So we can't make it about us, because the second you start bringing ego into that, you limit how far you'll go for the laugh.
I want to ask, that's amazing, dude. How much though of the comments and stuff, because I love that you were able to adjust from it. That's a lot of fucking water. Do you think there's, you know, you can use some of the negativity for fuel, and how do you balance that? Because like for me, same way, man, I try to never read any of that stuff, because I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing like the same way you get on stage, you're trying a new bit. The same way I put up any sort of content is to, you know, hopefully share what I feel like I've honed into a pretty, you know, cool thing, and grow your audience and grow your fan base is what the you know, putting up of consistent stuff is. But I will look at stuff and, you know, I try to always go, like you said, like it's subjective. So if someone tells me, I can rather handle like, I didn't enjoy, or I didn't like that bit, I'm like, well, that's fine, because it's all subjective. So you know, and I'll even see people in the crowd like last night, and I'll be like, I haven't seen you smile a lot yet. And they're like, no, I'm having a good time. And I'm like, well, what can we talk about that will really resonate? And then the person, you know, commented on a bit that they didn't like. And then I was like, well, cool. Like, I'm not going to completely change what I do. But like you said, yeah, to say you're not funny is incorrect. And that is projecting. Like you said, if someone's like, your drawing sucks, that means usually you can't do it, you know? And that's just a true innate human behavioral thing, where it's like, why else would you be taking time and energy out of your own life to shit on somebody else's, especially when it doesn't affect you at all? You know what I'm saying? That's why there's that thing about like people that are like, gay guys, you know, they're fucking, dude, you see a gay guy but like have sex, like that's fucking, dude, that is gross. And you're like, oh, is that because you're constantly watching it and thinking about it and maybe gay yourself? You know, there's people that make those jokes and you're like, yeah, maybe there's some truth to that, because why else would you be so in just anti something that doesn't pertain to you? So do you find any balance with like the negativity, or when people come up after the show and try to give you critique, or maybe you should do this voice, or is it in one ear and out the other?
No, I think it's like this, right? Like, I feel like there's a sense and to get, I don't know, I don't want to get on a soapbox, but I think since the internet, people have become more entitled, right? Like back before we all just got multiple platforms where we could fucking share and voice our opinions, only certain people got to be that, right? Like, it was only like when I was growing up, there was like 10 news people. That was it. That was my weather guy. I don't know what you had in your town. Who the fuck cares? Yeah. It was Dick North and Shelley Winters and fucking Mark Eubanks every week. And I saw him, and that's who I watched, because that's the station my parents watched. And the people.
Did you say Dick North?
Dick North was his name. Dick North, by the way, if you guys ever want to see, he was the most manly fucking, you get to see him in action. There's a Netflix show called Murder Among the Mormons, and they use a lot of 80s KSL news footage, but Dick is Nourse. He was the most magnificent newsman ever. He was this barrel-chested, I used to see him at the gym, hairy chest. He would wear gold chains, this perfect round hair. He had a head like a football helmet. I love this man. He let me know what the truth was in the world, and that's who you listen to. You know, the editorial guy would come on at the end of the news, and that would be the statement. And I didn't really give a shit what everybody in my neighborhood said, right? Like, I didn't care. My dad didn't have those conversations. I didn't have those conversations with people. Nowadays, everybody knows everything. We're posting everything about our lives, what we believe in, what side we're on, who's this, what we think. Fuck yourself. This is terrible. And you'll listen to me because I have this many followers, and that means I'm important, because, and you go, well, that sense of entitlement, right? Like I posted a tweet online and it got
500 likes and it was funny. So now when I go to the comedy club, I'm like, this guy better make me laugh, right? I'm not going for a good time. I'm going for like, you better prove to me that you can. That's a weird way to live life. That you have to be proven. Like you better prove to me you're funny. You better prove to me you're on, you deserve my money and time. I feel like for me, and again, now we've gotten to a point where when we do public shows, it's just our fan base, right? Cool. And they come out and we've kept people that'll come up and be like, this is our 10th time in a row and we brought 12 people. And,
whoa.
And so that I love because I think with the music, people connect with the experience, and then we're always it's always different. It's always kind of like you said, this musical experience, right? Because that's what it is, right? Like, I guess that's life. I guess that's why comedy makes such a great metaphor, and that's why it's so good for teaching people how to use the mindset of this, because there's a freedom to like not giving a shit, right? There's a freedom to how we live. There's a freedom to trusting yourself like that. And I just 1,000%. Think that, there's also a freedom to kind of giving yourself over to that and having a time when it doesn't matter, right? And I think that a lot of comics, and bless their hearts for it, whatever they want to do, because we're all different. A lot of comics want to go out and they want to make statements. And they want to go, well, politics, huh? And they want to talk about things that are in the news. And I've always thought about that a comedy club is a place where people go to forget all of that shit. That's why we tell them to put away their phones. That's why they don't have fucking newspapers. That's why the news isn't on while we're on stage. Because there's a time for you to forget that. Now, we can make comments about that because we're all thinking about it, but at the same time, we're all having different thoughts. So I like to take people to a place where they're not thinking about anything, right? They're just there to laugh. And I think that like when you can kind of realize that it's not about you, that it's just about the gifts that you have, then it really doesn't matter because nobody's insulting me, right? I'm just sharpening the skills and presenting what, to get philosophical, the universe gave me, right? And so I had an ability to do voices. I have an ability to sing. I have an ability I don't have that fear. So I do that, right? And I throw myself into that. And it's not about me because if I'm not on stage, somebody else is. If I'm not behind the mic, somebody else is. So when I do have my time, that time's important. And when those people give me their time's important. And so it's like you just create value in what you do. You just create value in the fact that when I'm on stage, this is valuable. Do you know how much my hour is worth? Great. Well, if you know that, then when I practice, that is part of my value. And when I'm here and you're here, now what's your hour worth? And what all of our hours, our collective hours are worth, you can't even put a value on that. And I think applying that to life and just living that kind of mindset anywhere where we don't expect anything from people and we're not really concerned with what we're putting out there. And we're more about embracing the things that we're good at and not caring what the world thinks about them. I think that's important. I think if more people contributed rather than commented, we'd have a much better world.
Oh, yeah. I think Gilbert Gottfried said that.
Here's the thing. If more people shut the fuck up and just did shit. Listen, there's no reason that you should. I don't understand it. I don't care. Did you get the vaccine? Who cares? Go fuck yourself. I don't care. That feels good to say to him, right? Like you can do it. Good for you. You got your second. Fuck you.
Yo, were your folks super supportive, or were you always like a self motivator? Because I feel like in our business, after a while, it's all on you, right? And from the get go too. And as supportive as your folks and fam can be, there's nobody's holding your hand through most of it, but especially from the get go, it's truly on you to trial and error, figure it out, find your voice, deal with the hardships, find a community or a significant other, somebody that can kind of be along to keep you going so that when you look but it also, if you don't have all that, I think there's a good side and a bad side to it where I know for me, I definitely had a lot of times where I was looking myself in the mirror being like, fucking don't, you cannot let this like crumble you. The feeling of, the first little taste of rejections or not being accepted somewhere and wanting to be further along than you are, all those things that don't truly ever go away, but you just kind of manage them. Did you have people that were, really supportive from the get-go, or was it all on you? Yeah.
My mom and dad have always been super supportive, and it's funny because my mom and dad had never really seen me do comedy until 2019, where we did a filming of the music show, and because we written the show I was actually able to finally have my mom and dad come to a comedy show, which was finally really cool.
Wait, why? It's just never.
My parents LDS and
they what?
Mormons.
Yeah.
For people who I grew up in it, and I was kind of, by about 12, I was like, yeah, I'm good. And so they never really forced it on me. It's for them. So I don't, that maybe is another reason why I was able to always kind of compartmentalize my swearing, because I never cursed around my folks. Right. So I just didn't do that. So when I would get on stage, and my mom doesn't need to see me bouncing David Bowie's dick around. So I just never did that for my parents until they finally came and saw that show, which was really cool.
Hey guys, Adam Ray here. Look, sleep is important, right? We all do it. I think there's some stat like we sleep, 50% of our lives. If you're going to sleep, don't sleep on some saggy ass bitch mattress at night. You deserve better, okay? Sleeping is important. It's necessary, and you want to be comfy, happy, and healthy. So give yourself an upgrade. Helix Mattress is here for you, baby. This is the shit I sleep on. Been sleeping on it for years. They hooked up the About Last Night podcast, and I gotta tell you, dude, it's a game changer. You've probably heard of Helix mattresses because they are the best in the biz. And if you want to get to learn more, take the Helix Sleep Quiz. It takes 2 minutes, barely, to complete it. And when you take it, what Helix does is matches your body type and your sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Because why would you sleep on a mattress or buy one that was made for somebody else, right? They've got soft, medium, firm mattresses, even mattresses that are great for cooling you down if you sleep hot. I run hot. I'm always hot. I wake up in the morning, I sweat in the shower. So I took the Helix Sleep Quiz, and I was matched with the Queen mattress because I wanted something that felt soft, medium, and cooled me down at night. And guess what? I sleep on my side and my back and my stomach. I move around a lot at night. I wake up. Sometimes I get some Skittles. Sometimes I do yoga. Sometimes I just wake up to fart in the kitchen. So if you're looking for a mattress that fits your needs, take this quiz. It's easy. It takes 2 minutes tops. You order the mattress that you're matched to, and the mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free. Not a lot of places will ship shit for free, but Helix will. They'll send it right to your door, no charge, and you don't even need to go to the mattress store again once you get it, because you'll be like, oh, this is exactly what I wanted, and it is crushing the sleep game. So go to helixsleep.com/about, take the 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that'll give you the best sleep of your life. I've been getting it, and you should be getting it too, because you only get one life, and you should sleep the right way. They have a 10-year warranty, by the way. So if you get the mattress, okay, and you don't like it, well, guess what? You get 100 nights risk-free. And if you don't like it, like I said, they'll pick it up from you if you don't like it, but I know you're gonna, because I did, and it's the best shit out there. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for my ALN listeners at helixsleep.com/about. That's helixsleep.com/about for up to $200 off and 2 free pillows. So do it right now. Feel better, sleep better, live better. I love you. And now back to the episode. Does the Mormon religion, like, is it so they weren't like telling you not to do it. They just were saying, just by being who they were and what they believed in, you just were like, okay, cool. This isn't going to be something that I want to share with them yet.
No. And they knew, they watched Last Comic, cause that was TV, and they came to Vegas for the finals and were there. So they had seen, I guess they had seen me do bits, but they'd never seen an hour or headline show or it. And they've always been super cool. And I've always had people, I think also, Keith, you mentioned him earlier. Keith Stubbs is the owner of Wise Guys.
Yeah.
Cause I came in and I really threw myself into comedy. I really listened to them. And I mean, from the first time I because I did radio for years and I would meet the comics, and then one comic was like, dude, you should come in and do comedy. And you know what my excuse was? This is what's funny. People will find any excuse to not do something.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that this was what I said, Adam. When people used to tell me you should come do comedy, I said, you know what? I got tattoos and I don't, nobody wants to see that on stage. I said, there's no tattooed comics. I said, that's not a thing that people are going to want to look at.
Whoa.
That was my excuse, was that I had tattoos and that was going to be a thing that people weren't going to want to see on stage because comedy was guys in, right? Like, what was I even fucking, it was the stupidest excuse. So I get out there and I do a set, and Keith was like, that's really funny. If you come back on Wednesday, I'll give you a couple more minutes. And I said, that's great. So I came back and I kept coming back and I lived in that club. And if he goes, and he'd go, great, you can come back tomorrow and do 5 minutes, but it needs to be new. And I'd go, great. And I'd go home and I'd fucking work on 5 new minutes. So you can do 10 minutes, but don't swear. And I'd go, okay, great. And he'd push me. There would be times when I would just be in the back of the club and he'd walk over to start the show and he'd just go host. And I hadn't even formulated a set. Great. And I'd go. And so within that's, and I'd also been in a band and done stuff behind his mic, but that's kind of why I was able to be ready for Last Comic 3 years into doing comedy, because I'd done a lot of other stuff and I had Keith support me so hard. And then after that, it was the same thing. I wanted to try a new show. Great. I want to do a live podcast. Great. I wanted to try a music show. Whatever you want to do, I want to start singing to people. Neat. Whatever you want to try, bud. And he's always been like that. So this town and the people in it have always been super supportive of what I wanted to do. And I, even my fan base, like I said, it's 7 years ago, I just slowly made a split to, hey, we're doing an hour of stand up, to, hey, I'm now a duo and we're going to sing songs at you. Which, it was a big adjustment, but those people stayed with us, and we just, people have trusted us, and trusted ourselves again, just listen to ourselves and trusted the ideas we've had, and I've been fortunate for that, because not every city and not every club allows talent to just have that kind of access to trying.
Well, it's an testament to Keith for recognizing in you that there was all that talent, and Keith is just a true champion of comedy. But he also, I'm sure right out of the gate was like, all right, I'm going to tell this guy to come back and do this. And if he doesn't do it, then that's probably a wrap. But he probably saw in your eyes that you were, fired up about it and wanting to get better and wanting to grow and were passionate about the art form. Did you have side hustles? Like when you first were getting going and you were in that time and Keith was throwing you, spots to continue to get better, or did you like have jobs on the side, or?
I worked at the radio, so I was trying to still I would go and do like, I would set up remotes and stuff, and I'd be the guy that would set up the inflatables and, and then, but for the most part, like I poured myself so hard into it that at first I was, I didn't need a lot of money back then. I didn't have a lot of bills. So I was hosting anytime I could. And I headlined my first Sunday 4 months after my first night at Wise Guys, because I had just kept every night after the show. I was like, hey, and they'd be like, you're funny. I'd be like, great. Tell Keith, let's do a show. Let's keep going. And so I did a Sunday and sold out West Valley. And I was like, cool, now I can't do less than that. Let's just do it again. Can I do it again? Now can I do 2 nights and try to, and that was my whole mentality. And then I would do Tribble runs and I would do, road gigs and
any hell gigs, any gig that you go that stands out where you're like, man, I got better that night.
There was a really shitty night in Rock Springs where like the crowd literally was trying to they wanted to fight us. I didn't know that we were going to get out of town.
Oh my God.
Cruises, I won't do that again. We tried doing a few of those. I won't do that again.
How come?
Well, it's either you do a lot of work in a very short period of time, or you do a little bit of work and you're gone for a week. That's how it was. Like the first cruise we did, I thought was fine. We went actually, the first cruise we ever did, I'll tell you we did a few, and this is the horror stories. The first one we did, flew all the way to Florida, get there, going to get on the plane to go to Jamaica. I get a call as I'm sitting down. They go, don't get on the plane. The boat didn't make it. We got to fly you home. So we said, okay.
Wait, what does that mean the boat didn't make it?
Sometimes rough seas. So if you have a cruise and you're on a cruise for, say, 7 days and you're going to go Jamaica to Turks and Caicos to this place, right? But there's a wind and you can't. So you go, okay, guys, we're going to skip Turks and Caicos and just go to the next island. And if we're supposed to meet the boat, it's tough shit. So they flew us. They said, okay, we're going to get you a flight. Don't worry about it. We sat in the airport for 13 hours and then flew back home from Florida. So that was fine. We got, okay, let's try it again. Second time we went and we went to the Bahamas, which was cool. We caught the ship and then they dropped us off in Turks and Caicos and we had a really awesome night in Turks and Caicos on this white sand beach and it was neat. And I was like, this is cool. Let's try it again. Second time we went to Jamaica. And this is where I realized that these can be real hard because like I said, if you, for an act like us, we weren't the guys that got on and did a week on the boat. We get on, do a night, do 2 shows, and we get off at the next stop.
Right.
So we flew all the way to Jamaica, get to Jamaica, get in this cab. The cab driver is like, I got you guys, come on. And he starts taking off. We're going on these back roads. We're like, there's roadblocks with dudes with machine guns. We're flying around them. It's like a 3-hour cab ride to the other side of the island. We get over there, finally get on this boat, get on the boat. Our show's that night. So we get on the boat, sound check at like 2:00. We have a show at 6. We have a show at 9. We're off the boat the next morning at the next stop, back on a plane and back home in 42 hours.
Whoa. Oh
so
my
we
God.
did 4 planes, 2 islands, 2 shows and a cruise and got on the cruise ship from island to island in 42 hours and back home. That one was rough. So the next one we got on and we met the boat in Puerto Rico and we get on and it's beautiful. We're leaving San Juan and it's gorgeous and our show's that night. So we get up, we do our show. It didn't really go well. It wasn't really our crowd, right? We tried, we kept trying. It just didn't go well. They really didn't like us. And then, so we were like, whatever, that's fine. We did, we kept moving, kept trying. Sometimes those crowds are tough. We didn't blame anybody. But now the next stop is South Carolina 3 days later. So now we're on this boat for 3 more days with nothing to do, no internet. We can't gamble. We can't drink. We can't do anything because they consider us employees. That's another thing I learned. That when we got on there, we thought this is going to be great. We're here to do a show. This is good. They put us in steerage. You were down in the bottom of the ship in basically bunk beds that's like the size of a dorm room. Our bathroom, the toilet and the room and everything, the shower was the size of an airport. You're down like basically where Rose and fucking Leo are down there dancing on the Titanic. I love spinning around fucking down there. They're like, come on down. The guy's playing spoons and shit. And so we're down there and we can't eat in the restaurant. They're like, go eat. You eat down in the cafeteria with the employees.
Fuck that.
And so we're on this boat for 3 days. Internet's like $70 a day and you still can't get anything. There's no TV. You can't go to the pool if it's full because since you're an employee, you can't sit on the boat in the chair. An employee can take it. So we were just stuck on a boat for 3 days with a group of people who weren't super enthused by our show. So, that was the last one we did, and I was like, I probably won't do that again. There's no reason to fly all the way somewhere else when I can do that same thing here. Like I saw enough. I did enough of that.
Also, those cruise ship disasters, once there was that one where it was like they were stranded, and I think there was what was it with the toilets overflowed? There was shit everywhere, and then everything got covered in shit, so the food was tainted. There was they only had a few snacks, and everyone was they were stuck. What happened with that? Do you remember?
I mean, I think that they were off the coast of Greece or something, right? And then they in for some reason. I don't really, and that's the other thing too with these boats. You realize you're right. I mean, you're not getting off this boat if they don't let you. It's like if you've ever been on a plane and you're out on the runway and they're like, all right, guys, we're going to be out here for about 5 hours. And you're like, fuck, why? Fuck. And you're just trapped in that cylinder.
Yeah.
It kind of, I mean, you've got stuff to do, but you 3 or 4 days in, you realize there's only 3 or 4 restaurants. Only 2 of them are open most times. And normally you only got a couple options to eat. I don't know how many fucking soft serve ice cream cones I ate. That's what you could do. That was open 24 hours. Just go make yourself a soft serve.
That was good. That was good.
It was like
space work, by the way. I knew exactly what that was. Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is a different one. This is soft serve. So
yeah.
But it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Right. I know there's guys who like, I love it. I'm life at sea. I'm on sea for like 3 weeks, and
that's fine, man. That's your journey.
I just wanted to come home and see, just be home.
Wine. Who hasn't been there? You love it, you need it, you drink it. You're standing in the wine aisle like a dum-dum, staring at the shelves. Do I want a California Red or maybe one from Oregon? Something organic, something Chardonnay-esque from the Napa Valley. Maybe just one with a really nice label. Look, shopping for wine is overwhelming. You don't want to feel inadequate. Standing in the aisle, strangers start staring at you, and you feel like you don't even belong outside. So, thankfully, there's First Leaf, a better way to discover wine at a fraction of the price that you'll find at the store. I discovered First Leaf from a buddy, and I'm hooked, man. They are a fully customizable wine club. It's cool to be a part of a club, especially when it's booze-related, and they send you curated boxes of wine that are perfect for you. Because that's what you want, perfect wine, right? They have more award-winning wine than anyone else. With First Leaf, there's no guesswork, no misguided recommendations, no someone getting in your face being like, if you really listen to your palate, you can hear the grape separate from the fruit. You're like, what the hell are you talking about, man? Just give me the wine, I'm thirsty. No frustration on your part, just wine shipped entirely customized to your unique palate and preferences right to your doorstep. Unlike big box wine memberships, First Leaf uses a one-of-a-kind algorithm and your feedback to curate future wine recommendations. Look, the more wine you taste and review, the better the shipments are going to get. I was rating the Merlots, the Pinots, the Cabs, and guess what? Days later, I got sent the right shit to my mouth because that's how First Leaf works. They want to curate this stuff directly to your taste buds. First Leaf works directly with the world's best winemakers, which is dope, not only to find the best wines available, but to pass the savings on to you. Savings up to 60% off retail. These are the guys I work with because I love wine and I only want to get it from the best, and because they take time out of their day to be attentive to me, the consumer, and you, the customer. That's why I love them. So, favorite wine so far? Chardonnays, Cabs, like I mentioned, Merlot. I was not a big Merlot guy, but First Leaf has found the ones that work for me, so now I'm pretty hooked. I wake up in the morning, I pour a little Merlot on my face, I start my day. I brush my teeth with Cab. Sue me. Save time, money, and stress with First Leaf, the wine club designed with you in mind. Join today and you'll get 6 bottles of wine. Holy shit. I just read that. 6 bottles of wine for $29.95 and free shipping. All you got to do is go to tryfirstleaf.com. That's tryfirstleaf.com/ALN and get 6 bottles of wine for $29.95 and free shipping. That's tryfirstleaf.com/ALN for 6 bottles of wine for $29.95. Get drunk, be happy, live your life, baby. And now back to the episode. Are you working on new impressions always too, or do you kind of have your set thousands and just kind of go through the Rolodex?
What's funny is I have to keep track. I have a list where I keep things that I'm constantly working on, where I have voices that I have really dialed in, voices that I'm working on, kind of always constantly moving things up. And what you realize with voices is that once you can kind of do one is 5 and 5 is 10, right? It's because you realize that it's just about where things come from. So here's I'll teach everybody who's listening or watching, however this works, to do some stuff.
Great. And then I want to hear your faves too, like in your, like the people that are in your top, that you like to do all the time.
So here's a little, all that impressions are is listening to where noise comes from in your head, right? So for me, I talk from here. My voice is up behind my throat. I don't talk too low. I talk out here behind my nose, and I can hear it. I use a little bit of nasal, but mostly it's kind of a face register.
Yep.
You, on the other end, you're throaty, right?
Yeah.
That's how you call it.
I truly am.
You are. So when I talk, I can feel a vibration in my nose. I can feel a vibration in my cheeks. When you talk, you're going to feel the vibration.
I feel it right here. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What is that?
It's where your voice sits, right? So if you think about where people's voice sits, then you can just find it. You just push it, right? You take a stock impression, like Jerry Seinfeld, right? So Jerry Seinfeld, he's slightly higher, right? So you start doing that. Once you kind of have that, then you just push it up, and it goes up behind your nose. And that's all you do. You change it around. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's all a series of impressions are. Walking, for example, right? Most people, when they do it, they do this high walking here. It's the old 70s walking, right? And that's fine. All walking is pauses and a little bit of an accent. So without doing walking, you can start doing the voice, and then you add the inflection. So that's a basic one.
Yankee Doodle Candle Company. Like, is there the breathy thing too, right?
But if you really listen to him,
the fact is, he doesn't sound
so good.
Sounds like this. It's here. It's lower. He's older now. The voice is entirely different. He can get big. He wants to. Come on. But the fact is, it's lower. So it depends on what you're going for, reality, or something that's just, you can do at a party. So the difference is that, right? Like, De Niro isn't, how are you? What are we doing? What are we doing? This isn't what he does all the time.
That's a version.
How are you?
Yeah.
Right, but that's it. Pacino's also like, it's kind of like, what are you going for? There are realistic impressions. Like, for instance, like McConaughey, like when you really listen to him, he doesn't really, he just kind of sits back into it. He's not all right. He's not, he just kind of sits back, right? He's just always philosophical, and he's thinking about stuff, man. I'm thinking about you, man. Go out there, green man. And he's more laid back. So you just kind of listen. Other voices, there's ones where if you can do one that everybody can do, you can do one that nobody can do. Like Jim Carrey. Who can't do Jim Carrey, right? Oh, righty then. Jim Carrey's just over the top. Holy shit. Right? Jim Carrey's big, and he's honestly big. But if you take Jim Carrey and you make him slightly smaller and just a little cuter, it's Ryan Reynolds. Holy fuck. Right? It's the exact.
Wow.
Bring it down a little bit and did I say a mad word? Deadpool, right? You just bring it down at the same voice. I learned this one, for instance. For instance, Jeff Goldblum, very musical impression, very musical, right? Wow. He's always singing it. I love Jeff Goldblum because he's always singing a song that nobody knows as a reference to what he's talking about. It's like that song, Sandy had a tree, right? Remember that? Her tree was green, the green tree in spring. All right, the old adage. And so when you have that, right, that's kind of a thing. You're realizing where it is. And the funny thing is that if you take it up more, you can become Eugene Levy. What are we doing? Jim, we can just tell your mother that we ate it, right? And if you go even higher, trick the voice, obviously, you get into a Johnny Carson, right?
Oh, wow.
Which is also so what you're doing is you're finding the middle ground between those voices to find something like Eugene Levy that nobody else is doing.
You're also fully transforming your face, which is like, can you, Melissa Villasenor is also brilliant at that. Like, you and she are so good at, I can't imagine you not being able to do the voice without, because you're seeing it and that's why you're doing it. That's why your face is transforming, right?
What it is too is it helps you access. Like I was saying with Jeff Goldblum, what's fascinating too is if you take him the other way and you just kind of go up a little bit, right? He becomes Robert Downey Jr. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Right? That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't even understand it. And he's always very curious. What are we doing? And so it's kind of like that. And then it's the same thing with accents, right? If you can start doing an accent, then you can find the differences in the accent. So, for example, anybody who wants to do accents, this is a real easy way to learn how to do them because it's just directional. So like a standard British accent, right? The standard, I'm an American actor, I'm going to go do a British accent, right? Kind of right in the middle ground. You're not doing something so over the top in Cockney, right? We're not doing Snatch. What are we doing here, right? We're not doing up there. We're not going too far. Just doing a little bit, right? Basic, something can pass, right? You can even do like, then you can take it farther. You can do Jason Statham, right? Then you just restrict it. What are we doing here? Oh, driving really fast because that's the only thing I'm here to do. But once you've found that kind of basic standard British, right, where it's fine, it's passable, whatever it is, right, it's good enough. Now, if you take that accent, and because that's kind of a middle of the mouth feel, right? It's all in the middle of, not too pointed, but if you take it and you push it right up to the front of your mouth, right, and all you're doing is your lips, then you're restricting the sound, it becomes Irish, right? You're just taking it, and only because you're restricting the sound, you're pushing it out of your mouth, it becomes something different. Now, if you take that same accent, you push it all the way to the back of your throat, right, then it becomes Scottish, right, which you can do multiple ways. You can go all the way like a Shrek, go real big with it, or you can bring it down, make it a little more sexy, like a Gerard Butler, you know, something like that, where it's a little more restricted. But the fact is it's all the back of your throat, right? So now we come right back to the middle of the mouth. So now here we are in the middle of the mouth. Now what we do is we think of everything in shapes. So with British, it's very pointed, right? Everything's here, it's right, it's effective, it's efficient, it's right in your face. But if we take those sounds and we stretch them out, we make them round, we make them long, then it becomes Australian, right? Because now all of a sudden we've taken that same accent and we've made it big, we made it long, we take our time with it, right? Crikey, that's amazing. Wallaby, Billabong. You can say all sorts of weird words.
Billabong.
Right? It doesn't matter. Like, that's the best accent ever. If I ever have something horrible happen to me, I want a doctor with an Australian accent to tell me, "Hey, mate, you got cancer in your nuggets. They're going to cut them right off. They're going to run off. Hey, it's fine. We'll get you a little kangaroo pants to carry them around and you'll hop around like a little..." I'd be like, "That's amazing. Cut them off. Cut them my what are they, my nuggets? That's adorable." So
that's amazing.
But then, you know, so you just start playing with that. And then, you know, once you have Australian, then you can do like New Zealand, right? You can do like a Rice Davies. That, and, you know, restrict that a little more, and you can do like a South African, right, where you make it and you just have a little more restriction to it because you bring in your lips, which is basically like if Australian was Irish, right? So you kind of have that little bit of restriction in it. And then again, when you start applying that same logic to impressions, it's basically like, okay, well, what kind of different English accents are there, right? You got Ricky, right? What are we doing? This is amazing. It's good to see you all. We're here at the Golden Globes, right? Listen, just don't do the accent. Don't do all the stuff. Don't do the jokes, Adam, right? Just model it. A little bit of a drink, a little bit of, right? What do we do? I don't believe it.
Oh,
right?
my
So you got a little bit
dude.
of Ricky, you know, but by that same token, you can do like, you know, take the accent and you make it a little more, you know, proper. You can do like an Ian McKellen, right? Oh, here we go. Do a
Oh my God.
a bit of that, or you can, you know, what about this? Like go, trying to think like oh, you know, like an Alan Rickman, you know, hello, Mr. Potter.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you know, you've got, Michael Caine. What are we doing here? Michael Caine, it's always breaking. I can't believe Master Wayne. What? You're not leaving, Master Wayne. You know, it's trembling. So you just start, and then once you've done that, right, you just realize you need those little bits of pepper and salt to make the accent what it is, or the impression. So it kind of you kind of realize that you have to utilize all of these things really quickly in order to make the accent perfect, or the impression.
It's fucking bonkers that you know, and I love how kind of the musicality of it that you really honor, and, you know, truly seem like a student of voice and knowing where to kind of access things from. And once you do a certain voice, knowing what else is possible from that. And, you know, I think having that awareness, which, you know, I think you strike me as someone, I don't know if OCD is the right thing, but definitely perfectionist, as far as once you start playing with something, you're like, oh, I got to fucking nail this and learn everything about it. Yeah.
Well, and it's what it is too, is you realize, and I think this is what's so cool about comedy, is that it's so connective. And that's what's so brilliant about everything, is you realize that literally everything's connected. Literally everything. When you're in a room and you're laughing, there's a literal connection between those people. We can feel that energy. And that's the same thing with anything, with our comedy. You kind of realize, like, you know, most guys, they always, like, when they start, they'll go, how do I write comedy?
Yeah.
And you go, well, you guys are thinking of it like this. It's not. Everything's this. Take an idea. Am I getting the most out of it? Did I literally tag and think of, did I wring everything out of that idea? I always tell people that most comics think of their comedy set like a hallway. And they just go down the hallway. Here's a picture. Here's a thing. Here's a thing. I'm going down a hallway, getting to the end. And I go, how many of you guys have ever stopped and thought about all of the rooms that you're passing? This is the weed room. I'm going to walk in. I'm going to pick up every book. I'm going to look under everything. I'm going to sit in this room. I'm going to sit in the chair for a minute. It feels good. It's not just about getting through it. It's about living it and being in it. Yeah. And so what you kind of find like that connective tissue is the same thing with voices and the same thing with everything. Song, the same thing. That's what was so easy about music was that, and that's what our whole show is. Our show is literally, we called our music special, It's All the Same, because we've realized that all music, and this is what we do on the show, is essentially the same. You take a song and you play 5 notes and it's 20 songs. And you don't realize that. And this is a song. And these are the same. You didn't realize that these 2 people wrote the exact same song. You've heard it 5,000 times. It never occurred to you. Same thing. I thought about David Bowie, and nobody said that. We get that from other comics. Yeah. Oh my God. He said that. We know that as comics, that's what we call getting pissed off. Like a really great joke makes me laugh. An amazing joke pisses me off. Yeah. Because there's that thing where you're like, fuck, God damn it. That's a good fucking joke. Yeah. Shit. Yeah. You just kind of fuck. But that's really what all of this is, right? And songs and music, right? Like we're connected to it. We don't even realize it's on all the time. It's part of our DNA. And so it's really fun to make fun of. And with the voices, it's like that. It's that same thing. You listen to a celebrity 1,000 times and you don't realize that their voice is that similar to something else. And that it's just, that's just where this guy's voice comes from. Right. Some are super obvious. I remember one of the, obviously like when I started off, I would do like all the main ones, like, Jack Nicholson, right? Everybody, right? And then you realize that Jack Nicholson is just, it's just Christian Slater, right? It's the exact same.
Whoa, never heard that.
And you just make it into Christian Slater. What are we doing here? And so like there are things like that. But then there's ones that are connected in a way that you just only realize sonically. Like Woody Allen. Everybody does Woody Allen. That's a voice that, I don't know how many do. But the fact is the way he talks. If you take their voice and you push it up into your face, it basically becomes Jay-Z. And you never really realize that Woody Allen and Jay-Z are the same motherfucker. You know what I mean?
My God.
And then if you take Jay-Z and you take that same voice, right? Because Jay-Z, when he talks, he crack, right? He has that crack in his voice. And if you take that up a little bit higher, Jay-Z becomes Bill Clinton. And you don't even realize the hiding right between Woody Allen and Bill Clinton is Jay-Z. Now, I'm not saying anything about where he's actually at, but as an impression, he's sitting right there between them.
By the way, I would love to have seen Bill Clinton holding a press conference, delivering that news, and basically being like, a lot of people are trying to do my voice, trying to do impressions of me. And what they don't realize is you take a little Woody, you take a little Jay-Z, and you blend them in the middle, you get Bill.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Bill C. But there's so many of those that are just like these little, that if you can do one, you can do 10. And so that's really the fun of it, is to also kind of push yourself and get to know all of the dimensions of your own skill set. I think that we get really comfortable in like one thing that we're good at, and then we go, oh, well, look how many other things this can apply to. This can apply to a music show. This can apply to writing. This can apply to directing, producing. This can apply to coaching and consulting and teaching. I mean, there's a million things that we can apply it to. So it's pretty rad.
Well, I, saw all this. One thing I have always dug about you is how much you challenge yourself and push yourself to, discover all your weapons and then being committed to honing them and exploring truly how much you have in the tank for each one of them. And I think that's why you're, just growing into such a fucking beast of a performer, and why you're so successful, and why you're still just a great dude, man, because it's all about having a staircase and enough pillows behind you to not not ever be able just to get so high that you can fall back and trust fall into your own couch just like that. Marcus, I want to close this out. Unfortunately, James Lipton passed away, RIP. You would have been on Inside the Actor Studio. It's inevitable. So I'm going to give you the full Lipton experience, closing out the show. Here we go. Marcus, what's your favorite word?
Fuck.
What's your least?
Well, no, I don't know. I think that was my response to that. I don't know if fuck's my favorite word. I don't know. You know what? I'll go with it. I say it enough. I don't want to say something fucking weird like.
No, say whatever you feel. Say whatever you feel. Fuck is your favorite word. What is your least favorite word?
Limit.
What turns you on?
Life, truth, beauty, my wife.
Great answers. What turns you off?
Ignorance, entitlement, closed-mindedness.
Great answers. What's your favorite curse word other than fuck?
Clunt.
With
a K, by the way.
Wait, what does that mean? It's a klutz and a cunt, I'm assuming.
It's very. The cunt is tripping over all the time. Just like, well, no, I don't know. It sounds less hard while still being just as effective as saying the other word.
Agreed. What sound of noise do you love, Marcus?
Sound of noise? Well, I mean, the cliche answer would be laughter.
Love it.
So,
what sound of noise do you hate?
Indifference.
What profession?
I don't mind
Silence is fine. I like to masturbate in complete silence. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Doesn't matter what I like to attempt. Fascinating. Chef.
Ooh, what kind of food? Follow-up question.
I love food. My wife is an amazing cook. I'm fascinated by it. So if I was to really study something, and if I could go back and have maybe poured myself into it, I think it'd be fascinating to understand like the same thing, the connections and the origins and all of that of food, which is something that we all, I guess, deal with on a day-to-day basis.
My favorite food is grilled cheese. What profession would you not like to do?
Politics.
Agreed. If heaven exists, Marcus, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You're funny.
That's the best answer I've heard so far. Fucking, that is, wow. Yeah, dude. Just real simple, like your shit, man. Just like you bumped into him in an elevator in Vegas, and he was just like, that's fucking funny, man.
Thanks.
Come on in. Dude, I love you. Thanks for making time. You made me laugh. You fucking, pumped me up for my shows. You're just a fucking kind gem of a dude. You look great. You're aging backwards. MarcusandGuy.com for all the show info.
Or just, you can find me at Comedian Marcus on any social media platform, Instagram, Facebook. That's where I spend most of my time.
Dude, you're a freak of nature. You're one of the most talented dudes I know. I'm blessed to know you. And I can't wait to come back to the sweet, sweet city of Karl Malone. What does Utah know? What is Utah, the city of what?
Well, we're the city of the Osmonds. We're the city of Mormons. We're the city of you know what? I don't know. I want to redefine it. I feel like Salt Lake City is a really cool place. It's got a lot of, it supports artists. It promotes, people trying things. And I like that. And so I like to rewrite Salt Lake City and let it be known for being a cool place full of good people. Come check it out. Come laugh, because they're really good laughers here. And you know that. And next time you're here, let's do the shows again.
Dude, I know. We should try to, we should do another live pod. The last one was just bonkers with you, me, Brad, and Avery. I mean, I can't remember. We did some song at the end. What's that?
the jazz thing.
Oh yeah. What did that turn into?
So the guys that were at the show like worked at the jazz training facility, and so me, you, and went over to where the jazz practiced, and like went through the locker room and sat in their giant chairs.
Yeah, that was cool. Got to see Brad just shoot hoops.
Send all that to you.
Yeah, send them to me, man. I would love to go down.
And I have a picture of you and Jeff from the very first Rocky Mountain Laugh-Off.
That was crazy. We didn't even get into that. I mean, the amount of people and personalities we met. That there should be some sort of a reunion or a documentary made on that fucking week. I mean, I remember
that was
the amount of stories from Jim Shanks having a business card with just his name on it to, I mean, just, meeting you and seeing you just own Salt Lake City and how hospitable you were to everybody and just, clearly was going to win this competition. And, meeting Jeff for the first time and seeing a girl after the show bring she brought like a Sharpie and said, I wanted to like give you an autograph on your penis or something, which was basically just her being like, I want to give you a blow. Dude, that was my true first experience of like, oh, when you look like Jeff Dye, there's a lot of fun stuff coming your way. Dan Fredrickson was my roommate for that, who is a fucking character of himself. I remember some girl came back to our place and did coke in our bathroom and brought like powdered sugar donuts over, and then brought over a DVD of Simon Birch or something. And Dan, I used Dan's DVD player, and he was like, I used Dan's DVD player to watch Simon Birch with this like cokehead who and I think she broke his laptop because she spilled powdered sugar into the little. Anyway, man, just a classic. And Keith put all these knuckleheads together,
You know what we do? We need like a Werner Herzog documentary that talk back in 2007 when all of these boys came together. A great comedy, Cosmos was born. Big Bang. I would love that. I would love somebody to go back and yeah.
Fuck yeah. All right, we'll talk about it. Well, I will hit you up when I come back to the city, and I can't wait for people to discover you. That's a great thing about nowadays, man. There's just so many funny people, but there's only one Marcus, and so I can't wait for the ALN fans to get on board, dude. I love you, dude.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for this, and I really, honestly, kill it tonight, crush it.
Thanks,
and
brother.
I can't wait to see you, man.
Me too, bud.
I can't wait to.
Give your sweet wife a hug for me, an appropriate post-Me Too hug.
You know what? She likes you. I'll give a little like 2007 wine.
Perfect. Later, play. I love you. Bye, Mark. See you, bud. Zoa. Thanks, Rock. Guys, Adam Ray here for the About Last Night podcast. Hope you enjoyed that episode. It was a good one. A lot of laughs, a lot of tears, a lot of stuff to think about and chew on, huh? Because that's what life's all about, chewing on the good stuff. Nobody said that. Maybe Denzel did. Maybe Tom Hanks did. Maybe they said it together in Philadelphia. The point is, click subscribe right here on the ALN logo so you can get more episodes and stay up to date when new content drops. Highlights, animations, clips. It's all here for you, baby. I'll see you next time. Whoop, I don't know how to blink.